The issue with fat loss is that there's so many ways to do the same exact thing, which is put yourself in a calorie deficit. So in this video, we're gonna be going over fat loss strategies 101, and we're gonna be going over 4 different fat loss strategies that people use in order to lose fat. We're gonna be going over some pros and some cons of each fat loss strategy and figure out what the best fat loss strategy for consistent long-term fat loss results are and how you can consistently lose fat and build muscle at the same time. I broke these down into A, B, C, and D, and make sure you stick around to the end because I'm gonna combine 2 of these in order to create the ultimate fat loss strategy. So if that sounds interesting, let's just jump right into it. My name is Josh. I'm a certified personal trainer and I've helped over 100 clients lose fat and build muscle at the same time. I also helped my dad lose 30 pounds in only 18 weeks using these strategies that we're gonna be talking about at the end of this video. So make sure to stick around to the end so you can use the same exact strategy that he used in order to lose weight yourself. All right, let's jump right into it. So starting us off with A, counting calories. Everybody knows that counting calories is good for fat loss, but no one likes to count calories. Why is that? Counting calories is something that a lot of people struggle with, but before we get into why it's difficult, let me describe what it is. Counting calories is just what it sounds like, counting the calories that you are ingesting in your body on a day-to-day basis. The goal of this is to put yourself in a calorie deficit so you can lose weight consistently for the long term. Now, what are some pros of calorie counting? Some common pros of counting your calories is that it gives you full control over your food, right? You're able to count the amount of food that you're putting in your body, and as long as it fits in your total calories, you're able to eat it. So that's one benefit of counting your calories while still seeing results. The next is that it builds awareness. Having more awareness of the food that you're putting in your body allows you to be more consistent with staying in that calorie deficit. It also makes you more creative with the kinds of foods that you eat in order to make them taste satiating, as well as help you avoid cravings, because again, as long as it fits within your total calories, it's good to eat. Now, the third thing that is good about calorie counting is that it gives you more dietary freedom. It allows you for doing things like eating out on the weekends, maybe having a couple slices of cake on someone's birthday. As long as it fits within the calories, again, it's okay to stay within calorie counting. Now, what are some things that are bad about calorie counting? Calorie counting is a lot of work. It does take a lot of work in order to weigh and measure out the amount of grams or ounces of food that you're about to eat if you're meal prepping for yourself, and it can often be difficult to accurately count calories if you're always eating out. So that's one thing, it's a lot of work. Now the second thing is that it often leads to weight regain if you're someone that counts your calories. And the reason for this is because after you put yourself in that calorie deficit, if you have no way to consistently increase your TDEE or your total daily energy expenditure, you're going to have to consistently decrease your calories more and more and more, so that way you can consistently see more weight loss. But there is a couple strategies that we can use to offset that I'll explain at the end of this video. So calorie counting, not bad, obviously not good for long-term weight loss, but it is good for, again, giving yourself full control of your nutrition, building awareness, and giving yourself dietary freedom. Again, it is a lot of work, and if done not correctly, it can lead to weight regain. All right, calorie counting on its own, not too bad, pretty good for weight loss. Let's move on to letter B, which is going to be intermittent fasting. Now, what is intermittent fasting? Intermittent fasting is the process of which you decrease the amount of total calories by limiting the amount of time periods you're allowed to eat throughout the day. What this looks like is considering certain times throughout your day to be considered fasting times where you don't eat for that period of time. This limits the amount of time throughout the day that you have opportunity to eat, which then decreases calories by not letting you eat as much volume of food throughout the day. So what are the benefits of intermittent fasting? Intermittent fasting is simple. It's very easy to follow. Just don't eat food. It's pretty simple, right? It's also effective, right? It's a great effective way to lose weight, especially if you're someone that is overweight or obese. It's very simple and effective because by fasting, you're decreasing, again, the amount of calories you're taking in because you don't have as much time throughout the day to eat food. So it's pretty effective, not for long term, but we'll get to that. And last, it does give dietary freedom. You do have more dietary freedom when intermittent fasting simply because you're already decreasing the amount of food that you're eating throughout the day, which means that those foods, just like with counting your calories, don't have to be so strict or so healthy when you do break that fast. Again, if we want consistent weight loss, you do want to eat healthy, which I'll talk about how to eat healthy in another video, not in this one, because eating healthy is a whole complex topic on its own. But if you want to still enjoy eating foods while losing weight, it does give you more dietary freedom. Now, what are some of the cons of intermittent fasting? It increases your amount of cravings. The more time that you have not eating, the more time you spend thinking about food because you become more hungry. It increases the amount of hunger that your body is signaling. So when you do break that fast, oftentimes that fast is broken by unhealthy foods. It's not going to be the right kind of weight. It's going to increase things like your cortisol levels because you're going to be stressed out from not having so much food throughout the day. And this is going to make this not a very sustainable form of weight loss. Intermittent fasting also decreases the amount of energy that you have. So it lowers your total energy throughout the day because you're not using sugar as a primary energy source. You're using your fat storage, which will lower the amount of productivity you have throughout the day, increase things like brain fog, lower your energy levels, as well as make you feel tired and sluggish. So make sure that you do this accordingly and try to do intermittent fasting in a way that doesn't interfere with your work or day-to-day life. You can only intermittent fast for a certain amount of time before you hit a plateau. And once you've hit that plateau, you continue to starve yourself, you continue to not enjoy the food that you're eating, and it causes you to then rebound, which in most cases will make you gain more weight than you even had to start off with. So intermittent fasting, not a very good choice when it comes to weight loss. All right, moving on to cutting carbs. By cutting your carbs, you're decreasing the amount of foods that you're able to eat that taste good, right? Your selection, right? Your selection of foods decreases significantly. If it has carbs in it, you can't eat it, which means that there's a lot of food that are completely off the table. So by cutting carbs, you're effectively lowering the amount of food that you have available to eat. And this, again, means that you eat less food because you now have less options to then eat. This doesn't mean that you can't overeat while still cutting carbs. You can absolutely still overeat and not be in a deficit. However, it's very easy and simple for people to just look at a thing, say, oh, it has carbs, and throw it away because you're cutting carbs. So yes, it does put you in a calorie deficit most times, but it is not good for sustainable fat loss. Now, why shouldn't we cut carbs? Well, to start us off, you're going to have low energy. Now, of course, that makes sense. Carbohydrates are your body's primary source of energy. It is the first thing that your body uses when getting energy out of food. You're going to feel slowish, tired, you're going to have brain fog, as well as a bunch of other things from cutting your carbs. Life will no longer be enjoyable. Number two, it's going to lower your recovery. It's going to reduce the amount of recoverability that your body has. Because you decrease your carbohydrates, you're now not having the same amount of energy that you had before, which means that your immune system is going to decrease. Your ability to recover from exercise and fitness is also going to decrease, as well as your energy to push yourself hard during fitness is going to decrease, meaning that you're going to not only decrease the stimulus for new muscle growth, as well as decrease the recovery of that muscle growth once you've stimulated growth. So it's terrible from a muscle building standpoint as well. So, the worst. Next, not sustainable. Obviously, you're not going to be able to sustain not eating carbohydrates for the rest of your life. Carbs taste yummy. Foods that you enjoy eating that make you happy and enjoy life are going to include carbohydrates. By taking them completely out of your diet, you're going to have massive cravings, which means that you're not going to be able to sustain this for the long term. Now, the last strategy is just cardio. Just doing cardio as your fat loss strategy. Now, the issue with this is that it oftentimes is going to put you in an inconsistent deficit. You might burn more calories on one day versus another day, meaning that your calorie fluctuation from day to day is going to be inconsistent and not accurately give you consistent weight loss. It also is not sustainable because say you get tired, say you get injured, you're no longer going to be able to burn as many calories as you did before, and you're going to maintain or even gain back the weight that you had before. And because of this, you're going to see little to no results. That can be discouraging and keep you from doing cardio again in the future, which is not good. It also, again, leads to weight regain because of the previous things that I mentioned as well. The only good thing about doing your cardio is it burns calories, and yes, it burns calories, but it does not burn enough calories to outrun a bad diet. So now that we've gone over the most common fat loss strategies when it comes to the fitness industry, how do we effectively lose fat and keep it off for the rest of our lives? And this brings us to the best fat loss strategy, which is counting calories plus exercise. Now, this is a very generalized overview of counting calories plus exercise, but let's break it down a little bit. The reason why counting your calories plus exercise is the best long-term fat loss strategy is simply because it does the main two things that we need in order to lose fat. That is putting ourselves in a calorie deficit while increasing our muscle mass. Now, the key thing to remember about increasing your muscle mass is that you need to have more muscle on your body in order to raise your BMR. Now, I talk more about this in the calories out portion of the calories in, calories out equation 2-part series, which you can go watch after this. But all in all, in order to follow the best strategy for fat loss, you need to understand this. If you do not build muscle through exercise, you are going to continue to decrease the amount of calories you're able to take in order to be in a deficit. So if you don't want to restrict your calories to the point of where you're starving yourself, you need to be building more muscle, but you also need to be increasing the amount of macronutrients you're eating. Macronutrients are 3 things: proteins, carbs, and fats. You need a balance of all 3 of them in order to see the best fat loss results. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to download some kind of calorie tracking app. I personally use the free version of MyFitnessPal because it's free and it allows you to get all the resources you need in order to track your macros effectively. Just track the foods that you're currently eating. Don't cut out any of the foods that you would not normally eat in your day-to-day routine. Make sure that you track them effectively and efficiently using the MyFitnessPal app. This is going to allow you to build accountability as well as build awareness to how many calories you're currently taking in. Once you have that done for the next 3 days, you're going to get a macro calculator. You can go to sweatsforfitness.com and click on the macro calculator where you can get the free macro calculator so you can start calculating what your total macros should be for maintenance. Once you calculate your macros maintenance, you're going to then put yourself in a deficit of 500 calories. This is going to allow you to burn 1 pound of fat per week consistently. If you follow this for the next 12 weeks, you can consistently see fat loss of 12 pounds. Now, that's only half of the equation because we know that just counting calories alone isn't going to see consistent fat loss. So what we need to do is we need to add our exercise routine into the mix. Because we're adding more muscle tissue onto our frame, we're then going to increase our BMR, or our basal metabolic rate, which is going to be how many calories you burn at rest doing absolutely nothing. And this is going to be the majority of the calories out portion of the calories in, calories out equation. Again, if you want the full breakdown of the calories in, calories out equation, watch the 2-part series that I have on it after this. So we need to build muscle using exercise. The best way to do this is by resistance training. So you can go pick a resistance training routine. I only need you to resistance train a minimum of 3 days out of the week and a maximum of 5 days out of the week. Of course, you can have a program that trains more than this. However, I want you to make sure that you're consistently getting these days in and training your muscles to the fullest capability by having enough rest time so you can recover after your workouts. Now, once you have an exercise program that fits within your schedule, you're going to build more muscle and you're going to need to recover from that. So in accordance to your exercise, you also need to get a minimum of 8 hours of sleep per night. If you do this, you're going to be increasing the amount of recovery you can have so you can build more muscle, burn more calories while you sleep, as well as spend more time not awake so you have less time throughout the day to eat, which will then mitigate your hunger cravings. This will also reduce the amount of time you spend getting up and going to the kitchen at midnight to then sneak some snacks and help you stay in a deficit. So make sure that you get your 8 hours of sleep. All in all, this strategy is the best when it comes to sustainable fat loss for the reasons that I just mentioned. It helped my dad lose 30 pounds in only 18 weeks, and he is still consistently losing weight and building muscle at the same time. So hopefully this video helped you guys. My name is Josh. If you guys want all the resources that I mentioned into this video, they're going to be linked down in the description. And if you guys want a fitness community that is going to give you more information, more help, and support you through your fitness journey, make sure you go check out our Sweats for Fitness school community where we have more information on how to create your exercise program, create a nutrition plan, over 100 meal prep ideas and programs that you can start today and use as a template for your exercise portion and for your counting calories portion of the fat loss equation. All right, my name is Josh, and I'll see you guys inside the Sweat Sphere.